All right, so let's talk about path. I actually got a question about this earlier in the class, so this is actually what we're going to talk about. So that you have a thing called your path. So if you say echo path right now, you can see that you get this really long string of like paths, right, of various different like locations on your computer. This is where all of your programs are. So you can see here, if I say ls user local sbin, it actually doesn't have anything in there. But let's look at, I know user local games has lolcat in it, right? Or it should. Looks like it doesn't. All right, how about snapbin? Some of these are open. So you can see here, this has all my various different snap binaries, and this is how Bash figures out where all of your programs are. So it goes from left to right, so it's going to first check if I say like run node, right? So if I say here, run node, it's going to check, is like, is there a node here? No. Here, 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 until eventually it gets to the snap bin. It's like, cool, I found something called node, I can invoke it from here. So notice when I'm saying running gen files or node test, right? I have to say // to let Bash know, like, I'm not reaching for something that's in my path. I actually want you to run something that's in this directory, and it's called node test. That's what the / means. But what happens if I wanted to run something like gen files like this, right? Without any sort of prefix, to run it as if it was like a system-wide command? Well, let's make our own directory called mybin. And I'm going to we'll move node test into mybin. And we'll move gen files into mybin as well. So if I look in mybin, you should see I have gen files and node test, and now we just have to put that on our path. So the way that we would do that is we're going to vi into our bash rc, and just down here at the end, I'm going to add another line under our another variable, and I'm going to say export path equals, you need a full path there, so I'm going to put the tilde and then under my bin like this, and then I'm going to put colon, because the colon is what separates all the various different things on the path, and then I'm going to put path there. Okay, so I have my bin on there, and then it's going to reattach like the rest of the path on it. So I'm not overwriting the path. If I didn't put this colon $ path on there, it would overwrite everything that's in the path, and all I'm trying to do is add something on the beginning of it, right? So now if I write and quit. Actually, just a funny side note about VI again, because I love making jokes about VI. If you search for :WQ inside of files, it's a bunch of people that have been meaning to write and quit out of Vim, but were in the improper mode. And it's just all over GitHub. It's hilarious. Anyway. So if I echo my path again, you can see here that my bin is on there, and if I look inside of my bin, right, you can see that I got gen files and node test in there. So now, hopefully, I should be able to just say node test like that, and there you go. Now that that's on my path, it's like, oh, I can see that and I can run it. Or if I say gen files, just like that, it runs my program that I put in there. So this is a really useful thing for you to know how to do, because you can create a bunch of like your own personal bash scripts that you can use whenever you want, and then you can put them on your path and you can run them as if they were just normal commands for your computer. So I mean, it'll even like autocomplete, right? So I put gen underscore, and if I hit tab, files will show up. So that is how you use Shebang, and that's how you like put things onto your path as well. One thing I was going to throw in here, which is kind of useful for you, if I go back into like something like mybin gen files, right? A lot of times it's useful to put comments in things, like we're supposed to comment our code. You can do that with bash scripts as well, if you just put a hash, right? So this is a comment. In fact, technically this first thing up here, the reason why it doesn't get run is it's technically a comment, right? It's just a special comment. But you'll see all over my notes I have, like you can put comments at the ends here, like as like this is an echo, like that. So that's how you do comments, right? Oh. So this will still get run because it's on the left side of the hash, but everything after here, this is just a comment. You can put whatever you want there. Cool. All right, so let's talk about variables and how to do variables inside of bash scripts. So let's go back into gen files. Okay. And we're using this like curly or this path in multiple places. So it'd be cool if that was a variable and then we could set that variable, right? So let's go do that. We're going to say destination equals our path that we were using there. You can put quotes here as well. That's optional. Because there's no spaces here, you don't have to. So up to you if you want to put that there. And then here we can just refer to this as destination like this. And same here, destination. Okay. So this should feel relatively familiar for you because this looks like what we were doing with environmental variables, and that's because it's literally the same process, the same thing that's been doing that. So it works just as well. Let's say we wanted to put file here into its own variable, so we could have like a file prefix. So let's do that. We're going to say file prefix equals file. By the way, these don't necessarily have to be screaming case, as people often call that. It's just frequently is for bash. I don't know if there's even necessarily a good reason for it. I just always see it that way, so I always just do. But you could absolutely make it lowercase. And I'll see inside of bash scripts, like I will see people use Pascal case, or I don't see as much camel casing, but I will see people do like file prefix like this. Up to you, whatever you decide. But I always see environmental variables written as screaming case, always. Okay, so this one's a little bit weirder. We can't just say file prefix like this, because then it kind of makes it ambiguous as what this curly brace refers to, because that could be accessing an array as well. So we have to put curly braces around this as well. So anywhere that you do like destination right here, I could technically put curly braces on this as well. They're just unnecessary, so people don't always put them there. But down here where I'm doing the touch command, that's actually necessary, so I have to put those curly braces on. So just be aware of that. And now this should work exactly the same way as it did before. So if I right quit and run gen files, everything still works the way that we anticipate it. And something to keep in mind is, notice that we're using curly braces here. So curly braces is important because that means get a variable. If I put parentheses around it, if you remember, that's running a subcommand. So, and it's yet different if you use square brackets. So I know it's confusing, but just keep in mind that curly braces with a $, that's going to be accessing a variable.